Yo, what's good YouTube? It's your boy Charles here from the CG Sports Podcast, and as you guys can see from the title of the video, it is finally time for my Week 1 NFL predictions. It's been a long time since I filmed one of these videos, and I'm so ready to get this thing underway. The regular season is upon us, and with that comes weekly prediction videos. So compared to our normal prediction episodes, these ones are going to be a little bit less informative because obviously it's still Week 1. There's a lot of things that we're not really too sure of yet. So this one isn't going to be as informative as our normal ones will be. When we get into Week 2, we'll start talking more about what happened in the previous weeks, other things like that. But for now, this is going to be pretty generic, just my picks and the final scores. So that should be doing it for this one. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. If you do, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all boys in there. Peace. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're just going to kind of go through one game at a time. And obviously I'll give my predictions, give you guys a little bit of stats I think are going to come around. And we'll just go from there. So starting off with our first game, it's our Thursday night game. It's going to be between the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. Now, the big talk of this game is, of course, the Bucs, the reigning Super Bowl champions, looking to repeat, looking to get off to a good start. And they're playing up against a Dallas Cowboys team who will be bringing back who they think is their franchise quarterback in Dak Prescott. Now, the only major injury for this game is Zach Martin, who is out on COVID reserve. But nonetheless, I think this game is going to be a big test to see if Dak can go back to his old ways and if he's fully recovered from that ankle injury that he suffered last year. I think this game, honestly, whether or not Dak Prescott plays to full potential, I still think it's going to be a pretty easy win for the Bucs, and it's going to get them on the right track to start off this season. So I think Brady throws for 2 touchdowns here. Leonard Fournette able to rush for 1, and he will actually be splitting snaps with Ronald Jones. So expect to see a lot more of him this season. And for Dak, I think he starts off slow, gets a passing touchdown in there, but that's the only score that comes for Dallas, and the Bucs win this one 27-13. Now for our next game, it is going to be the Seahawks and the Colts. Now just to talk injury-wise for the Colts, they got a good amount of injuries. T.Y. Hilton will be missing this game. He did have neck surgery just a couple weeks ago. We don't know yet how long he'll be out for, but we do know he'll be missing this game. More injuries on the Colts side. Cornerback Xavier Rhodes as well as wide receiver Paris Campbell are both questionable with calf and Achilles injuries. I think both these guys should be good to play. And of course, the biggest injury on this Colts team is quarterback Carson Wentz. He is questionable for this game, so he does say that he does expect to come back in time and start this game, but I don't see this happening. I think they're going to give Jacob Eason, who's the backup quarterback, the start here. They don't want to rush Wentz back and risk a re-injury, so I don't think he plays this week. And obviously, as the next week rolls around, we'll see how he looks coming into Week 2. But for this week, I don't think he gets the start. And all around for this game, I don't think the Seahawks are going to have any problems. Obviously, Darius Leonard, pretty solid defender. Xavier Rhodes, pretty solid corner as well, but they can't do it on their own. I think Russell Wilson throws for a touchdown. Chris Carson rushes in one as well. And for the Colts, I think their only touchdown comes from their running back, Jonathan Taylor, who had a phenomenal rookie season. I'm expecting nothing less this year. And Seattle takes this one 23-10. All right, and our next game will be an AFC South divisional matchup between the Jaguars and the Texans. Now, the big thing for this game is that the Texans will be without Deshaun Watson. He has actually been made inactive by the Texans after multiple allegations against him, as well as he missed a good amount of practices. And this means that quarterback Tyrod Taylor is going to get another chance to prove himself. He played for the Chargers last year, got hurt pretty early in the season, obviously had a little stint in Buffalo where he was solid. We'll see if he can get back to those ways. Another injury they have is Texans linebacker Whitney Merciless is going to be questionable with a hamstring injury. He should be good to go come Sunday, not too worried about that. And for the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, the rookie, the first overall pick of this year's draft, will get the start for Week 1. They already traded away Gardner Minshew. There's not really a real guy to go behind him, so he is going to get the start Week 1. And obviously, what most of you are expecting for this game, I expect the Texans to struggle without Deshaun Watson. I don't see any chance they win with Tyrod Taylor, at least not in Week 1. I think Phillip Lindsay, the newly acquired running back, will score the only touchdown for Houston. For the Jags, I think the rookie Trevor Lawrence throws for a touchdown, and the rookie running back Travis Etienne, who I've spoken a lot of good things about, think he's going to be a big playmaker. He grabs his first rushing touchdown of his career, and the Jags win this one 20-13. And for our next game, it is going to be a matchup that we have seen plenty of times in the past couple of years. It is the Philadelphia Eagles and the Atlanta Falcons. Now, just to talk injuries, the Eagles safety Rodney McLeod as well as their right guard and Brandon Brooks are both questionable with knee injuries. Most of these guys who are questionable aren't going to miss the game. There are a couple that I have actually missing the game, but these two should be fine to play. Usually it's just minor injuries during practice. Just wanted to get that out of the way, but nonetheless, this is going to be my, I guess if you want to call it my upset of the week. I have the Eagles beating the Falcons. Absolutely. Matt Ryan just lost all on Todd Gurley, who genuinely didn't have a great season last year, but still is a great running back, and he lost out on Julio Jones, easily a top 3 receiver in the league. Now, he will still have Calvin Ridley, who is a great player, but I don't think it'll be enough to beat Philadelphia. Philadelphia is +3 right now on the spread, +155 on the money line, and I don't see it. I think Philly takes this one home. You could call me biased because I'm an Eagles fan, but Matt Ryan losing his 2 best offensive players sounds to me like he's going to have some problems. Now, their defense is great. They added Wayne Gallman in the offseason to try and replace Gurley, but it's just not going to be the same. So I think the Eagles are going to take this one home. I think Jalen Hurts throws for a touchdown. Miles Sanders rushes for a touchdown. And for the Falcons, I think they'll come up with 1 touchdown here, and it will go to Calvin Ridley, I think. Or maybe even their tight end could probably make a big play as well. But nonetheless, the Eagles are going to take this one 20-16. All right, so for our next matchup, it is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers and the Washington football team. Just to get the injuries out of the way, for the Chargers, their running back, Austin Eckler, is questionable with a hamstring injury. Now, Eckler's a guy who I expect to have a big fantasy year, have a breakout year this year, and really show that he's one of the better backs in the league. So I think he should be fine for this game. And for the Washington football team, the only major injury they have is Curtis Samuel, who's questionable with a groin injury. I don't expect him to have any problems either. He should be playing just fine. So to get into this game, obviously Washington with one of the better defenses in football. Los Angeles with already a top 10 quarterback in Justin Herbert, getting ready to play the first game of his second season. And honestly, I would really like to tell you that this is going to be a close game, and there's one reason why I won't tell you that. And it's because the starting quarterback of the Washington football team is Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback by any means. He is not. He did his thing last year with Miami, picked up the ground where Tua couldn't do it. He picked up the loose change. That's the best way I could put it. But he is not built to be a starting quarterback any longer. Washington is going to struggle with him at the helm, and I can tell you they are going to have to make a move for a better guy, or they are going to struggle all year. So I think the Chargers take this one home, and I don't think there'll be any problems. I think it'll be a pretty solid performance. I would like to tell you this is going to be a close game, but once again, I truly do not believe that. So I think Herbert comes out hot with 2 passing touchdowns, 1 actually going to Eckler, and I think Eckler will also get a rushing touchdown for himself. For Washington, I think their running back, Antonio Gibson, who showed a lot of potential last year, he'll get in for a touchdown, but that'll be all the scoring for Washington. And the final score for this one is going to be 27-10. Okay, and for our next matchup, it is going to be the Steelers at the Bills. 2 teams that were pretty dominant last year in the AFC. This year, I will not think that it's going to be the same thing. I don't think we're going to see the same thing as last year. The Bills will be as dominant as ever. I believe that they're going to get on a deep playoff run. But the Steelers, on the other hand, they are going to struggle. And I truly believe that. I know they went, 11-0, 12-0 last year before they finally got a loss. I don't see it happening this year. For one, they lost James Conner. They ended up giving him up. And he was a pretty big guy on that team nonetheless. And they draft Najee Harris, who I think is going to be solid. But as a rookie, I don't know how much he's going to be able to produce just yet. The Steelers still have a great defense, but I think their problems are going to come on offense. I just don't know how much Big Ben has left. And obviously, they have a great supporting cast. Juju's been solid. Claypool's been solid. Ebron's been solid. But I just don't see them doing enough to beat Buffalo in Week 1. I still think they'll be above 500. But I don't see them winning this game. I don't see it. So I don't think they take this one. I think the Bills get this one with ease. Allen throwing for 2 touchdown passes. Devin Singletary rushing for 1. And for the Steelers, I do think they're going to score, though. I think that Big Ben will be able to throw a touchdown. I would assume it'd be a check down to like Najee Harris or something, because we know Big Ben is not a guy that throws the ball downfield. But nonetheless, Bills coming out 1-0. Steelers take a loss in their first game of the season. And the final score for this one will be 24-13. For our next game, it is going to be the 49ers at the Lions. Now, I know a lot of people were looking forward to seeing Trey Lance, who got picked by the Niners with the 3rd overall pick in this year's draft. Everyone was looking forward to seeing him play, but as of right now, he has a finger injury. He's questionable for this game, and I believe the Niners already announced that Jimmy G will be starting week 1, so do keep that into account when I say what I have to say about this game. Of course, for the Lions, it's new beginnings. Obviously, traded Stafford for Goff in the offseason. Still got a nice couple of players. DeAndre Swift still solid. Hawkinson still solid, but they also lost Kenny Golladay in the offseason as well, who is pretty much the main target behind TJ Hawkinson, of course, because he's such a great receiving tight end as well as a pretty solid blocker as well. But I think losing him is going to hurt them a lot more than people think. So with that being said, I think the Niners are going to win this game. They're coming back. Their team was injured a lot last year. Pretty much everybody's coming back at full strength. So I'm expecting the Niners to come out and get a win in a division that I think is going to be pretty closely contested in the NFC West. So I think Jimmy Garoppolo throws for a touchdown. Raheem Mostert rushing in one as well. And for the Lions, I think Jared Goff starts this one off with a scoreless first game, at least on his part. DeAndre Swift, the second-year running back, I think he will score the only touchdown of the game for Detroit. But nonetheless, this game ends off with the Niners winning it 20-7. For our next matchup, it is going to be the Minnesota Vikings and the Cincinnati Bengals. Of course, the big return of Joe Burrow here to Cincinnati. Of course, he got hurt about halfway through last season, got a really gruesome injury, actually. And they really haven't upgraded their O-line very much. Everyone wanted them to draft Sewell in the draft this year. Instead, they took Jamar Chase, who we should be getting to see in this game. So it'll be interesting how Burrow's able to play without a improved O-line pretty much in the slightest. I think it's going to be some problems, especially against a team like the Vikings, who have such a stacked front seven. And actually, one of their linebackers in Anthony Barr is questionable with a knee injury. Once again, should be no problem. He'll be playing. And I think the Vikings, between their pretty solid defense and, of course, that offense, which we all know is so solid between Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen. They did lose Kyle Rudolph in the offseason, but it shouldn't hinder them too much. I still think they win this one with ease. I think Kirk Cousins throws for a touchdown in this one. Dalvin Cook rushing for 2 touchdowns in this one, because I really think the Bengals defense is going to struggle. And for the Bengals, I think Burrow will throw for a touchdown pass. And I'll say this, although I don't have him scoring, I think Mixon gets some good yardage in today. Even without that O-line, the guy's just a playmaker. But nonetheless, I think the Vikings win this one 24-13. Our next game will be the New York Jets and the Carolina Panthers. Of course, Sam Darnold's revenge game, if you will. But nonetheless, this is going to be a really good game. I truly do believe that the only major injury we have here is Jets wide receiver Jamison Crowder, who will be out on COVID reserve. But nonetheless, I'm expecting a super exciting game. Of course, it is the return of Christian McCaffrey to the NFL. He was out, I believe, from week 4 to the end of the season. Then in those later weeks, they were like, he might play, didn't end up playing. So it is finally time for him to come back. And for the Jets, similarly to the Lions, it is new beginnings. They got rid of Sam Darnold, who is obviously now in Carolina, brought in Zach Wilson, as well as Corey Davis. And I think this Jets team is going to put up a good fight. I truly do. I think the Jets are going to give the Panthers a run for their money. But I don't think it'll be enough for them to win this game. And I'm going to tell you how it's going down right now. I think for the Panthers, they come out in dominant fashion. I think Sam Darnold throws for 2 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey rushing in 1. And for the Jets, I think Zach Wilson is able to get his first career touchdown pass. Tevin Coleman, who just got added from the Niners, he rushes in for a touchdown. But I think the Panthers are able to win this one 27-17. For our next matchup, it is going to be the Arizona Cardinals and the Tennessee Titans. 2 pretty good teams, man. These are 2 really solid teams that I expect both of them to get to the playoffs. I absolutely do. And I think this is going to be a very exciting matchup. And actually, on paper, which I was surprised about, the Titans are the favorites. And I was pretty confident that Arizona was going to be favored, and I was going to have this crazy upset with Tennessee. But apparently, Vegas is on my side here. I think the Titans win this one pretty easily. Of course, they added in Julio Jones and got rid of Corey Davis. And between Julio and A.J. Brown, I think they're going to have one hell of a season. Of course, you can't forget about King Henry, who's going to be pounding that rock as well. Arizona has also made some upgrades, of course, still bringing back DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, Andy Isabella, that same wide receiver core, of course, with the running backs, Kenyon Drake, and all those other guys behind him are great as well. But nonetheless, I think the Titans, the big three for them, between Henry, Jones, and Brown, I think it's going to be more than enough for them to win this game. I think for this one, Derrick Henry rushes for a touchdown, Tannehill throws 2 touchdowns, and for the Cardinals, I think that Kyler Murray is going to throw for a touchdown, but I think that is all that they will get, and the Titans are going to win this one 27-16. For our next game, it is going to be the Cleveland Browns and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, before we get into this game, I want to say right now, the Browns are a team I expect to have a phenomenal season, but I can't give them it over the Chiefs. The Chiefs were, of course, one game away from being back-to-back Super Bowl champions, and of course, they weren't able to beat out the Bucs. But nonetheless, let's get straight into this game. For the Browns, Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be questionable with his knee as well as his ACL. Both are obviously injuries he had last year. He was out for quite a while. I think he'll be good to go, as well as Jadeveon Clowney, who's a new addition to this team, is also questionable with a illness, and once again, think he should be good by Sunday. No problems there. And for the Chiefs, they will actually be missing their safety in Tyrann Mathieu, who is out on COVID reserve. That's all the injuries for this game, though. I think it will play some type of part in this game, but I don't think it'll be anything major. At the end of the day, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. They're still bringing in the same talent: Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Mecole Hardman, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, just the same talent on offense. And I believe they actually did improve their offensive line this offseason. So the big problem they had in the Super Bowl, they have come up with a solution to. Now, of course, both their offensive tackles were hurt, and those guys coming back is obviously going to help. But they also added some more additions in the offseason as well to help that out. And it's the Kansas City Chiefs. Do we really think they're going to lose week 1? It would have to be quite the upset for the Chiefs to lose this game. I don't see it happening. I think Patrick Mahomes comes out here on fire, throwing for 3 touchdowns. Clyde Edwards-Helaire rushes in 1, and that's a crazy offensive performance by the Chiefs. But it's nothing new. We've already seen it. And for the Browns, I think Baker Mayfield throws for 1 touchdown. Nick Chubb rushes in 1, but nonetheless, the Chiefs win in dominant fashion. Final score being 34-20. And for our next matchup, it is going to be a AFC East divisional matchup between the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots. Now, just to talk some injuries for the Patriots, it is going to be Nelson Aguilar as well as Jalen Mills, both questionable with ankle injuries. Both these guys should be good to go for week 1. Now, there is a guy who they're not going to have, and this is going to be a big loss for them, and it is their all-pro cornerback, Stephon Gilmore. It does not look, and he could get reactivated, but right now he's on the PUP list, which means 99% chance he does not play. If he does play, good for him, but right now it's looking like he's not. Now, even without him, if you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, I'd say this was going to be a pretty close game, but you got the rookie Mac Jones out here, and I don't think he's got it in his first week of the not even forget the year of his NFL career. I don't think he has it in him to beat this team. Obviously, this is Tua's team now. He's obviously got Devontae Parker, Mike Gesicki, Myles Gaskin, a couple of solid guys. And between those 3, I think they shouldn't have a lot of problems. I think they'll be able to take care of business here. Obviously, the Patriots had the most COVID opt-outs last season, bringing a lot of guys back between Dante Hightower, Patrick Chung, obviously still bringing back Devin McCourty, J.C. Jackson, a ton of talent on this defense, but I don't think that New England is able to beat Miami in week 1. I think Miami is going to take this win, and this is another one that you could even call an upset. But nonetheless, I do think that the Dolphins will win this one. I think Tua is able to throw for a touchdown. Myles Gaskin is able to rush in 1. And for New England, I think Mac Jones throws for a touchdown as well. James White rushes in a touchdown. But I think this one comes down to less than 1 possession, and the Dolphins win this one in a close one, 20-17. Now, for our next game, it is going to be the Denver Broncos matching up with the New York Giants. Now, there isn't too many major injuries here. We will have Giants wide receiver Kenny Golladay, who's questionable with a hamstring injury. He shouldn't have any problems, as well as Giants tight end Kyle Rudolph, who has a foot injury, and their other tight end, Evan Ingram, questionable with a calf injury. All those guys should be no problem. They should be playing. And obviously, Saquon is still a guy that we're not 100% about. I do think he'll be back for week 1, but I do not think that he is 100% just yet. But nonetheless, if you ask me this, same thing with the New England game 2 weeks ago, I would have told you that Denver's going to win this game. But I am not a Teddy Bridgewater believer. I am not. This Broncos team is solid. Melvin Gordon, they got Cortland Sutton coming back from injury. A ton of guys on their defense coming back from injury. Got the best safety in the league in Justin Simmons. That is before, obviously, Derwin James, Minkah Fitzpatrick, all those guys show up. But as of right now, Justin Simmons the best safety in football. They got Cortland Sutton coming back, Von Miller, Bradley Chubb. So much talent on this team, but I can't do it. I can't say they're beating the Giants with Teddy Bridgewater at the helm, who is not proven. He has not been proven since he left Minnesota. Obviously, he spent a little bit of time in New Orleans. Who knows where he went after that? I really do not know. But I don't believe in him yet. If he shows me right here he wins this game, I got a lot more confidence in picking the Broncos in week 2. But right now, I think the Giants are going to take this one. I think Daniel Jones throws for a touchdown. I think Saquon Barkley gets his first rushing touchdown of the season. And for the Broncos, I think Melvin Gordon will get in a rushing touchdown. And I also think that Teddy Bridgewater will get a passing touchdown. So this game is going to be closer than the way, obviously, I'm talking about it. But nonetheless, I think final score 23-17, and the Giants take this one. For our next game, it is going to be the Green Bay Packers going up against the New Orleans Saints. Now, if you showed me this game a season ago, I am super excited. But now, of course, as we all know, Drew Brees is out of the picture. He called it a career, and now it is Jameis Winston time in New Orleans. Now, this guy, he could have a solid season. They could go over 500. They could make the playoffs. But until I see it, I'm in the same boat as Teddy Bridgewater. I am not a believer until I get proven otherwise. I think this will just be another trip to the Superdome for Green Bay. I think Rodgers and the crew will have no problem with this. More dominant on both sides of the ball. I think Rodgers throws for 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones rushes in 1. And for the Saints, I got Kamara having a really solid day yards-wise. Rushes in for 1 touchdown, but that is it. That's it. And I think the final score, it will be 27-13. For our Sunday night football matchup, it is going to be the Chicago Bears and the Los Angeles Rams. Now, I get every team has to play Monday night, Sunday night, and Thursday night at least once a season. But why this game? Of all the games, had to be the Sunday night for this week. This game, I truly do believe, is going to be an absolute annihilation of the Chicago Bears. Now, the Bears, their star outside linebacker in Khalil Mack is questionable with a groin injury, as well as Roquan Smith with an ankle injury. I don't think they should have any problems with that. Both those guys should be playing. But at this point, it doesn't really matter. The Rams are just a better team on both sides of the ball. Of course, bringing in Matt Stafford, they traded away Jared Goff to Detroit. And I think Stafford's going to have no problems here. I think between Robert Woods and, of course, Tyler Higbee is still solid. I think that the Rams are going to get this thing done with ease. Now, this is not to say that the Bears will not score the ball. Of course, they got their rookie quarterback, Justin Fields, who will not be playing this game. And they're actually going to start Dalton, which I can't really blame them. It's the safe thing to do. Why risk getting your rookie quarterback injured in week 1 when he's playing up against Aaron Donald? Of course, you don't do that. So it'll be Andy Dalton out here, and that's another big reason why they're not going to win this game. So for the Bears, I think Andy Dalton can throw for a touchdown. I do. And David Montgomery will rush for 1 as well, who also had a great season last year. I think he will continue it this year, but I think the Rams have them outmatched. Stafford throws for 2 touchdowns. Cam Akers rushes for 1, and the final score for this one is going to be 24-10. And for our final game of week 1, it is going to be the Monday Night Football matchup between the Baltimore Ravens and the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, the only major injury for this one is the Raiders running back Josh Jacobs, who is questionable with a toe injury. Should be no problem. He should be playing in this game, who he, by the way, had a great last season. I expect nothing less this year. But at the end of the day, it's the Baltimore Ravens. They did lose Matthew Judon in the offseason, which is a tough loss. But nonetheless, I don't think they're going to have any problems. And, of course, they don't really have a running back on the roster either. J.K. Dobbins got hurt. Gus Edwards also got hurt. I don't even remember who's playing anymore. That's how random of a player this guy is. But nonetheless, I think still, without the running backs, that Lamar is going to be able to get it done. The Raiders are a solid team, but they're not good enough. That's simple. Waller's great. Jacobs is great. Carr is still solid, but it's not enough to beat the former MVP. I think Lamar Jackson throws for a touchdown, rushes for one himself as well. And I think for the Raiders, Derek Carr throws for a touchdown, Josh Jacobs rushes for one as well. I think the final score for this one is going to be 23-20. Another very close game that goes in the way of the Ravens. And the only reason it's even that close is because they don't have a real running back, and I think it's going to cause some problems. But nonetheless, that is going to do it for the Week 1 predictions. Let me know what you guys think of these predictions. Any of your thoughts on these games? What games did I get wrong? And yeah, I'm looking to get us another guest for next week. So hopefully by week 2, we will have someone coming on here so you guys don't just got to listen to me. We can have some new insight, all that other good stuff. But nonetheless, like you heard in the intro, if you enjoyed this video and made it all the way to the end, I really appreciate it. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. It's been your boy CG. And until tonight, I'll see y'all boys. Peace.